everyone. Good morning. Thank you for joining us. Welcome. We took a break away from regional trainings last week to kind of plan, and it was also school holiday and some of us was away. So I just wanted to welcome everyone here. If you are a guest, thank you for joining us. If you're from KW or part of Redfield Malaysia, thank you for joining us as well. Just quick question. We just passed the first quarter of 2021. How many of you think that it was very fast? That first quarter just whoosh past us in 3 months just like that. What are some of the things that you are grateful for in 2021, the first quarter? What are some of the things that you're grateful for? Please put in the chat box right now. What are some of the things that you are grateful for in 2021 first quarter? Guys, put in the chat box. Virtual support, please monitor, and those who are joining us from Workplace Live, feel free to put in the chat box as well. What are some of the things that you are grateful for in the first quarter of 2021? Anyone, put it in the chat box, please. Let's start our day positively. And the best way to have the best energy is when we are starting from gratitude, right? From the position of gratitude. Anyone? Negative COVID-19, awesome. Anyone else? What are some of the things that you are grateful for in 2021 first quarter that we just passed very fast? Quickly, guys, put on the chat box, please. Let's all participate this morning. Come on, guys. Anyone? What are things that you are grateful for in 2021 so far? Only one guy is grateful. The rest of all of us are not grateful. Wow. Okay, cool. Anyone? Come on, put in the chat box. What are things that you are grateful for in 2021 first quarter that we have just passed? How many of you are grateful of something, by the way? Just good health. What else? You're healthy and alive. What else? Come on, guys. What else are you guys grateful for in 2021? Health and family, great. What else? Progressing well. Vaccine is now available, yes. Life is going on, option. Opportunities, too fast. Grateful for busy schedule with a lot of opportunity, awesome. What else, guys? Can go out and drink now and catch up. Yes. What else? What are some of the things that you are grateful for in 2021? And it's very fast. And just to share with you guys, I'm very grateful that our first quarter results, which is due for us to release very soon. We are just auditing the numbers and all that. It's way better than 2020's first quarter. Like, that's a huge gain in our progress in numbers for the company in 2021. So I'm very grateful for that. Meaning a lot of us are doing much better than we were in 2020. Okay, so that's something to be grateful about. Now, I want to quickly share today our goal of our conversation is to really find that big why and that purpose. And a lot of times when we think through those questions of what's our purpose, what's our big why, sometimes it's quite difficult to understand and think through that or get focused on it. So I thought today we have that conversation of how do you set a big why? How do you pursue that big why? How do you keep yourself going? Now, I argue that if we don't have some sort of a goal or purpose that's attached to the goal that we want to achieve, it's going to be very difficult for us to achieve the goal, right? Because if you don't have a big why, if you don't have a reason for doing what we are doing, if you don't know why you are doing what you are doing, likely we won't do what we need to do, right? Because there is no connection, there's no relationship in that for what we want to become to what we are trying to achieve, right? So the goal for us today is to have a great understanding, a little bit of a perspective of that. And I hope at the end of the hour today, as we start our second quarter of 2021, or our first day of the week, or as we start off this week, right, I want all of us to be aligned into the purpose and the big why of why we do what we do. And if you are struggling, if some of us are struggling, sometimes I do struggle, sometimes I do lose focus on the things that I'm supposed to do because I cannot find alignment with my why and the things that I'm doing sometimes, right? Because we get too caught up. how are we going to then realign? What are some of the things that we do to realign ourselves again so that we get focused on doing things that's necessary? So I thought we'll have this conversation today. I have a guest coming online later to share some of his why and some of the things that's helping him to follow through with what he does and how a big why helps him to do well. But before we go there, I want to share a quick 18 minutes video about how can we reprogram ourselves, how can we realign ourselves as we get sometimes defocused. So I'm going to ask Marcus to play that video. It's about 18, 19 minutes. Sit back, relax, enjoy, and watch that video. Marcus, please share the video.
It was 2:45 p.m. on a rainy Friday in Los Angeles. My dad was just brewing a cup of coffee in the kitchen when he answered a call from an unknown number. He froze as he heard a woman violently crying and screaming on the other side of the line. Next, a strong, masculine voice came on. And he said to my dad, "We have your daughter. And if you don't listen to every single word that we say, we're going to kill her." My dad paused. He lost his breath for a moment, and he managed to ask, "Can I talk to her? Do you want us to break her arm?" They taunted him. Now, you have to understand, I'm one of two daughters. And sadly, just 6 months before this phone call came in, we took my big sister off of life support. I'll never forget the day that she died. My dad looked at me with this grief, with this heartbreak, bigger than the entire sky. And he kept repeating to me, saying, "Now, I only have one daughter left." So as anyone would when they're in fear, he gave his power away and he desperately said to the kidnappers, "This is my only daughter. I'll do whatever you want." "Are you alone?" the kidnappers asked him. And in that moment, he locked eyes with my mom across the kitchen, pressed his finger to his lips, silently begging her to remain quiet. And he said to them, "Yep, I'm alone," as he scribbled on a napkin. He wrote, "Go outside, quiet, call 911. Ashley's been kidnapped." My sweet mom, she hurried outside with her hands trembling and she managed to call 911. Meanwhile, my dad was being commanded by the kidnappers. "Get in your car," they said to him. "You're going to the bank, you're keeping us on the phone, and you're going to pay a ransom. And if you don't cooperate, we'll be sending you her body parts in the mail." My mom let the police know to meet her at the bank, and she tiptoed in the car so that they wouldn't hear her. The conversation in the car to the bank was all over the place. In 1 minute, they were asking my dad how his day was. In the next minute, they were threatening to rape me. They pulled up at the bank, and my mom went to meet the police officer. And meanwhile, my dad stiffly walked into the bank with his phone on in his pocket, as promised, so that the kidnapper could hear him wiring the funds. Meanwhile, as all of this was unfolding, I was actually sitting in my quaint little Beverly Hills office conducting a podcast interview. I remember throughout the conversation with my guest, kind of seeing my phone light up across my desk and not thinking much of it. And it wasn't until my guest left that I saw a slew of missed calls. And more simply, I saw one text message that I'll never forget. It said, "This is the police. I'm with your family. Please call." Now, in my early 20s, I worked in counterterrorism at the Pentagon in Washington, D.C. So believe me when I tell you that my imagination of what could go wrong is so colorful. But in that moment, I've never gotten a message like that, thinking that maybe whatever was on the other side of that text message was going to ruin my life. So I sat there and I mustered the courage to finally call. He said, "This is Officer Johnson. Is this Ashley?" I said, "Yes." He said, "Please confirm your name." I said, "This is Ashley Michelle Stahl. Is my family okay?" Next thing I knew, I heard commotion. He yelled across the bank to my dad, "Mr. Stahl, hang up the phone. She's on the line. It's a scam." I heard a ton of commotion, and then my dad grabbed the phone from the police officer. And he came onto the phone with me with a voice sounding more fragile than I've ever heard him before. And all he said to me was, "Is it you?" I said, "Yeah, it's me." And for the first time ever, I heard my dad break down and sob. He didn't sob like that when I was a little girl. I remember one of his businesses went under and our family went through an incredibly hard time. And he didn't sob like that when I was in middle school. I came home one day and he told me he had stage 3 cancer. And he didn't sob like that the day my big sister passed away. Never. He kept asking me if it was me, and I felt like I had to prove that it was. So I said, "Yeah, Dad, it's me. We dressed up as hot dogs together for Halloween." "You love cheesecake. I just signed my book deal. It's me, Dad." And he met me with one question. He said, "Can you please just come home?" So I was on my way, and I remember walking through the front door of my parents' house. My dad rushed over to me, and we hugged heart to heart. And I felt his pain in a way that I've never felt on another person. It was in that moment that I also realized that parents aren't superhumans, that they're just people like you, like me, doing the best that they can. He walked me through the phone call from start to finish, and I couldn't believe that for 2 entire hours, he was living one reality while I was living a completely separate one. But knowing that the truth always leaves clues, I couldn't help but wonder, how did my super smart dad get so duped? And did the crying woman even sound like me? And how did he manage to give his power away so quickly to a bunch of strangers? So eventually I managed to ask him, "Did you ever doubt that this was real?" And he gave an answer that we all tend to give when life corners us and we buy into fear. He said to me, "I didn't think that there was another option." Thinking about that, he went on about how we get so scared and how somebody was screaming on the line and you don't really have time to think about that. And that totally made sense to me. But throughout the rest of the night, I sat there in so much sadness and some anger, looking at how traumatized I'd never seen my 75-year-old dad so traumatized, wondering how could somebody do this to another person? And it was in that moment that something completely unexpected washed over me. And it was compassion, not just for my dad, but for the fake kidnappers. I wondered, why would somebody choose a career path of scaring people like that and robbing them of their life savings? And the only answer I could come up with was maybe they didn't think they had a better option. Or, maybe this is what their parents taught them, just like my parents taught me what was possible for me in my career. Or maybe they don't have the awareness that there's another way. Put simply, maybe this was the best that they thought they could do to get by, survive, and meet their needs in the world and pay their bills. Often we kidnap ourselves from the lives that we actually want because we think a different path is going to help us survive, get by, pay our bills, or meet our needs in the world. I pulled out my journal and I wrote at the top of it, "I'm my own kidnapper." I listed all of the ways over the years that I silenced the truth of what I actually want, all of the times that I took myself captive on soul-crushing journeys that I didn't even want to be on. I thought about how so many of us choose majors in college or career paths that we don't even want to be on because we think it's going to help us survive, get by, or meet our needs in the world. But it doesn't have to be that way. I encourage you to ask yourself, where am I kidnapping myself? from the life that I really want? How am I giving away my power, getting into fear, just to meet my needs in the world? When we go into fear, we give away our power and we disconnect from who we really are and what we really want. But as a career coach, I've learned that there are 3 key steps that you can take right now to make what I love to call a U-turn, which is the decision to get out of fear and come home to yourself. So the first step is to do a self-audit. Really ask yourself, where am I holding myself captive? This means being honest with yourself about where you are, what's working for you, and what isn't. And if you think about it, we come into the world, our natural state is with so much love, creativity. Think about kids, they have inspiration. And yet over time, we're taught to fear. And fear is a necessary inner alarm system that we all need to survive in the physical world. Think about it. We learn to look both ways before we cross the street. We learn not to touch the stove when it's hot. We learn not to talk to strangers. But over time, we get hurt. Life throws us curveballs. We learn to stop taking risks and start being afraid. We get afraid to put ourselves out there. We start calling ourselves practical or realistic for making choices that seem responsible, when really we're just so scared of criticism. And if we're being really honest with ourselves, people who call themselves realists are often just dreamers who got their hearts broken somewhere along the way. So how do you make a U-turn? You do a self-audit. You come home to yourself. And that's why one of my favorite questions to ask people is, what do you know that you wish you didn't know? What do you know that you wish you didn't know? Maybe some of you know that you're hiding from the truth. Deep down, you know you're hiding from the truth. Maybe you're hiding from the fact that you hate your job, but you don't want to admit it because you're scared and you don't know where to go next. Or maybe you're hiding from the fact that you married the wrong person, but you're scared to admit it because it's going to unravel your life to get a divorce. Or maybe you know that something's going on with your health, but you're scared to go to the doctor because you don't want to hear the diagnosis. Whatever it is, tap into what's deeply true for you. Seeing things as they are, not worse than they are, not better than they are, but as they actually are. In order to figure out what you really want, you need to see the truth of where you are. And maybe right now you feel pain bubbling up inside of you as you look at what's true for you. But know this, pain is often a trampoline that will launch us into our next stage of life if we're willing to let it. The second step is to follow your freedom. Follow your freedom. This means paying attention to what feels good to you so that you can finally set yourself free. So you're probably wondering right now, okay, Ashley, how do I feel what feels good? Very fair question. We live in a world right now of internet trolls and tweets and text messages, and the data is officially in. We are so connected that we're somehow, according to research, more disconnected than ever. In fact, in the United States alone, 71% of the workforce is on the job hunt, and I believe as a career expert that that is because people don't like where they are. More than 70% of the United States is taking prescription drugs, and more than half of marriages are ending in divorce. We've heard it all before. Do what you love and the money will follow. Or my least favorite piece of advice, follow your passion. These short expressions are often a fast track to nowhere. But when you learn to really follow what feels good to you, your purpose is often either right in front of you or on the periphery of that. So maybe you're wondering, well, how do I really connect to my body? How do I feel? What feels good? You're still being with this question. And that totally makes sense to me. Right now, scientists are calling our gut our second brain. And you've probably heard the research that suggests that there's more than 200 million neurons in our gut, which is equivalent to the size of a cat or dog's brain. So what does that mean to you? That means if in your nervous system you're feeling some sort of anxiety or disconnect, some nerves, something feels off, to trust it, because your body is a messenger and it is constantly giving you feedback. In my early 20s, when I moved to Washington, D.C. to work in counterterrorism, I didn't know if that was going to be my ultimate career path, but something about it felt good to me. And guess what happened on the periphery? I succeeded in my career. I learned how to master the job hunt, and I became a career expert. And guess what happened on the periphery of that? I became a published author, my biggest dream. In a world of climbing the corporate ladder, 5-year plans, and unnecessary degrees, we are all striving for something that is so unrealistic, and it's perfection. But who you are at age 25 isn't going to be who you are at age 30, and it certainly isn't going to be who you are at age 40. And that's why I invite you to see your career as an experiment that really meets you where you are, a vehicle for your own self-expression. You can start with writing down all of your ideas and checking in with your body, seeing how they feel to you. Do you feel joy or do you feel fear? Do you feel expansion or do you feel contraction? Do you feel liberation or do you feel suffocation? That's why one of my favorite tools to recommend people that they use is called a joy journal. When you're feeling disconnected, for 30 days, take the time to write down every single moment that lit you up the most every single day. And I don't care if it's the woman you talk to in the bathroom line at the club or the meeting you led at work. Pay attention. And at the end of the 30 days, take note of if there's any patterns in your inspiration. Really ask yourself, what skill set am I using when I'm the most inspired? Because when you're in your inspiration, you're not being run or kidnapped by your fear. And the third step is to engage. So, needless to say, your cute little joy journal isn't going to get you that love interest that you've been pining over or that dream job that you really want. Action will. But perfectionism is the enemy of action. And often I've found that perfectionism is a mask that we all wear when we're afraid of failure. So ask yourself, am I a perfectionist? Because here's the truth of the matter. Clarity comes from engagement. It does not come from thought. Limbo is powerless. So if you want to be powerful, look at your list. Pick something that feels good. Show up. See what feedback the universe gives you. Make a commitment and know that you can course correct along the way. Looking back and thinking about the fake kidnapping incident, I think a lot about my dad and all of the trauma that he experienced that day, nearly wiring his entire life savings to some strangers on the phone. I think about how the truth always really does leave clues, how he thought to ask if it was me or if he could talk to me, because early on in the kidnapper conversation, he wanted to talk to me for proof. Some part of him knew. I think about how he gave away his power in desperation and in fear, as we all do. And most of all, I thought about my compassion for the kidnappers and all of the lessons that I really learned. We all have the opportunity to free ourselves. And it starts with really taking a look at who you are, doing a self-audit, following what feels good, and taking action. No matter where you are in your life right now, you have the opportunity to make a U-turn. That means connecting to the truth, connecting to your body, connecting to your joy. Most of all, that means making your U-turn. Thank you.
Okay. How many of you were blessed and how many of you learned something from that conversation just now? From that presentation? I left some information on that chat box. This young author by the name of Ashley Stahl wrote a very good book called U-Turn. She has a podcast. I listened to a couple of her episodes, quite interesting. And I think it's very relevant to the way we should be thinking about how we align ourselves in what we do, right? So what are some of the ahas that you get from that presentation just now, that 90 minutes video just now? What are some of the things that you get from there? Please put in the chat box. What is that one or two nuggets or that ahas that you have? It's never too late to inspect your life and make changes. Absolutely right. You've got to inspect what you expect. You've got to be inspecting what you expect. Follow your freedom, right? Do the things that you are very good at. Do the things that is based on your strength, not your weakness, right? Self-audit. I love that, Samuel. Self-audit. Audit yourself. Ask yourself this question: where are you right now? In order for you to go to where you want to go, you must always start from where you are right now, right? What are the few things that you'll learn? Anyone else? What are some of the things that you learn? Put in the chat box right now. What are some of the ahas that you have? Clarity comes from engagement, not thoughts. Absolutely right. The thinking process starts, but the clarity happens when you start to do the things that you're supposed to do. Absolutely right. Clarity comes from engagement, not thoughts. That's a very big aha. You take action and you gain clarity. You stay home and you think about it and you don't take action, you don't get any clarity, right? It is okay not to be perfect. Absolutely right. Speed is your friend. Perfection is your enemy. Don't wait to be perfect. Absolutely right. How can this then relate back into our work in real estate right now? How is this helping us to realign ourselves when we are not able to focus? One of the things that I learned from this video is that in order for you to see, are you in alignment with yourself and your big why, it will always show up in your results. The results are an indication of how aligned are you with your big why. The results that we have right now is an alignment of where we are in our big why and how we are aligning our big why to the actions that we are taking right now. Right? That's something that I'm learning as I'm being trained in Gary Keller's teaching and his coaching, right? Some of the things that I'm learning is that if the results are not showing the way that I want it to be, likely there's a disalignment between my big why and the action steps that I'm taking. So I give you an example in that, right? Remember I say I want to lose weight. So I was having a conversation over the weekend, some midnight conversation with my wife, and my wife told me something, and your spouse are always the people that will tell you the truth no matter what, right? And my wife told me this. She said, I have to tell you something. I know you're putting effort. I know you're doing a lot of work in trying to lose weight, but based on my observation and based on what I'm seeing and I'm touching, right? You're not losing weight yet. And she said this to me. She said, I think the action steps that you are taking, it's not helping you to get the results that you want. And as we sit down and have this conversation, what do you mean? I observe you're still eating this, you're still eating that. Yes, you're exercising, you're creating a better habit, but you are still eating the things that it's not helpful for you. Even though you say you cut it down, but you are at this age right now, you know that those things that you're eating, for example, fried chicken, is not going to help you lose weight. Then I asked myself, after that conversation, the next morning, I asked myself, did I align my big why? Do I really, really want to lose weight? And the truth of the matter is, I would like to lose weight, but I'm not putting enough effort because it is not help. It is not something that I must make it happen. Versus if I need to recruit a real estate agent to come into our company, I'm going to make it happen, right? That I'm very clear about that. So that it was the big aha for me that I was auditing myself, right? Desire versus compulsion. There you go. Desire wanting to lose weight, but not doing whatever it takes to lose weight. You're absolutely right. I'm not taking the serious action. I'm not taking enough action. That means my alignment with my big why of why I need to lose weight is not in alignment with my action. Does that make sense? Right now, so in your work, in your business right now, how aligned are you with your big why and your work? How aligned are you with your thinking and the things that you want to achieve versus the results that you're having right now? Because the results will be an indication to see the alignment. Remember this, and then you are either missing action steps, you're missing things to do, or missing a relationship. Two things Gary Keller teaches: if you're not hitting your results, or you have a disalignment with your big why, and you're either missing the model and system to do it, or you're missing a relationship that will help you get there. Two things, right? So I thought as we enter this conversation of aligning big why to help us hit our goals as real estate agents or do our business in real estate, I wanted to interview someone today. Hannaan Khairy from Market Center 2. Now, Hannaan is a new rookie that joined us, having a little bit of success and having some journeys as he's journeying through. And I think it's very interesting as I observe his progression, as I observe some of the changes that has happened to his business and how he has approached his business. I thought it would be good for us to have a conversation with Hannaan. Hannaan, are you there? Can you hear us?
Yep, I can hear you, John. Hi, everyone.
Hey, Hannaan, why don't you just tell a little bit about yourself? Where were you before real estate, and why you choose to join real estate right now?
Basically, I'm in. I worked at the Ministry of Education before, but as a contract worker. So after January last year, my contract has ended, and then I joined I joined real estate in September 2020.
Right.
Yep.
Right. So you are less than a year, about 6 months in this business.
Yeah.
Yes. And in your journey, as you set your GPS for 2020, right? Were things when you initially set your GPS up, were things working for you? And if it's not working, why?
Basically, I don't take GPS seriously before. I mean, last year. So I just do for the sake of night programs, just to submit to Josh. And then after that, I think there is no clear vision of what I am doing, because I'm new in real estate and I don't know whether what I'm doing is right or wrong, whether it is proven or not proven. So basically, I just gambled last year, doing everything that I think is right, and I think I wasted my energy there lah. So after on January, I contact George and also my coach, Coach Hisham, about the GPS, and we do works on few Zoom calls to zoom into my GPS. So I think GPS helped me to overlook everything on any actions that I take, any money that I spend, and I see the bigger picture of what I'm doing is right or wrong, and also get help from the coach and also Josh. Josh really helped me a lot on GPS.
Right. And you say that you didn't have a vision or purpose or goal or a big why last year. Do you have that right now, or a temporary one right now?
Well, basically, the goal is to make money lah.
Right.
But then the process for me to get the money, that there is a proper process lah when I'm doing GPS, because the actions plans that needs to be taken also stated in my GPS, and also I have some goals for every. You see, I need to get this for few appointments for this week, for a month. So I know what achievement that I need to get to achieve my goals at the end.
What's driving you to want to achieve your goal? What's the big why that is driving you? Like, you want to make some money, you want to make a significant amount of money. What is the reason that is driving you?
I think because I'm first, I need money. Second, I know that by doing this, I can get the money. I can achieve that. So that is why I believe the process. I still going on, even though within a month I don't get any calls, or I don't get any proper inquiries by clients, but I do believe in the process for me to get or to achieve my goals.
Right. And how has this new thinking or this alignment helped you in helping you achieve your results? And what are some of the results that you're open to share with us right now in terms of things that's positively working for you right now? How's the
Well,
result?
I think the result is very very good for me lah, because first I use command, and also I use command a lot, which I use campaign. Basically, I close just 2 deals lah for me for this 6 months, but I'm happy with it. At least I have some achievement or progress. And then I use campaign a lot, which the recent one is in Selangorku project in Puchong Prima. So I got 70 leads by only 41 cents, $41 cents. So I think it's very cheap that I got the leads, and also 60 out of 74 leads I got, they responded to me, which is great. And then 15 of them, 15 out of 60 booked the unit. So basically that's my biggest achievement lah so far.
Right. So you did a campaign. Your biggest achievement in your career right now is that you did a campaign for $30.
Yeah,
You got
30 bucks.
74 leads and 15 sales in that particular campaign.
Yeah.
How many campaigns that you have to do before you hit this kind of successful campaigns?
I don't know for sure, but it's been 2 to 3 campaign lah. You have to try and error and see which campaign is the best for you, the best suit you lah. Because it's very subjective, and then but the important thing is, if I use command and campaign, I am sure that those people that responded to me are really interested in real estate or in property.
Right.
Basically, I also did in Facebook ads directly, and I also compare those two ads, which one from campaign and one from directly Facebook ads. So Facebook ads, you can get at a cheaper price. You can get a lot of leads, but then the thing is, it's not a proper leads lah, meaning not quality leads. So
Right.
I did compare those two.
Right. So when you start doing campaigns or you start doing your real estate journey and all that, how are you open for failure? How are you open to embrace failure when you hit certain things that doesn't work? What's your approach in moving forward as a rookie agent?
Mm, I'm trying to do things. I have no money lah. I mean, real estate is my full-time job for the time being, but I am also doing Grab to support my real estate career. I think I need to invest some in real estate for me to move on and to survive. But I think I just need to really believe the process. That's what I'm taking. I believe the
Right.
process, because I think Redfield has already taught me that if you are doing things like this, like this, like this, like this, and you can achieve this. So we do that. We do everything in the GPS. So I think
Right.
I still trust the process.
Right.
Mm.
Some of the strategies that you put in your GPS to align with your goal and your purpose, right? To the big why. What are some of the strategies that you put in your GPS that's helping you to focus on your goal right now?
Well, basically, in my GPS, there are few strategies, which the most important thing is the command campaign, which I get which very, I think, very proven to me lah. So I use that to get my leads, either to get a seller or also to get a buyer lah. And
Right.
then basically the second things, that's the most I think the most effective to me is also the smart plan.
Right.
So I got 70 leads, and also it's not easy to manage those much leads in 10 days to manage and also to catch up with them as soon as possible.
Right.
So I use smart plans to always remind me everything that I did.
Right. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
My last question for you for you right now before we move on to the next segment is, what is your goal that you wish to achieve this year? And why is this goal important to you?
My goal is I want I want to I want to be successful in real estate because I don't know the simplest thing is I want to achieve at least 120,000 this year.
Right.
So maybe that sounds quite simple or easy for other senior agents, but it's not easy for me. I'm a rookie, so that is why I think I need to get 120,000 per year because all the commitments and I just got married and also I need to spend on my new house and also yeah for just for a living.
Right. Thank you for sharing, Hannaan. Thank you so much for taking time with your business to be with us. Everyone, if you could just on the chat box give Hannaan a clap or a thought of gratitude for sharing, being open and vulnerable. And I know it's not easy, but thank you very much, Hannaan, for sharing your story with us. Now, I want to just go through a couple of things that I think that is important for us as you hear what Hannaan is talking about, as you hear what the speaker was talking about just now in the video. There are a few things that I want to share as we close today. Number one, figure out where you are right now. Figure out where you are and where you want to go, and attach your reason for doing this right now. Now, if you don't have a reason that is clear enough, start with yourself. I started real estate business with a very simple reason. I was in debt of 120,000, and I decided that real estate was the pathway for me to potentially hit my goal of paying off my debts. That's how I started my big why. That's the first why. That was that's in 2004 when I was 23 years old. I was in debt, right? So if you don't have a great why or you don't have a big why, you don't understand what is the big purpose, start with yourself. How can you do something that will make your life better right now? It's either to settle your debt or to be free. No, I challenge all young people today on the call. If you're young and you are starting out in life, or you are in different stages, either you're a parent or you're a spouse or you're a son or daughter of an older family or whatever it is, start with the things around you first. Don't have to be the number one person in the world. Don't have to be the president of the United States. You don't have to do all those things. But think through about what is important for you right now. And what's important for you right now can be different in the next 3 to 5 to 7 or 10 years. But start with that first. And the simplest thing is, how can I make my current life better than where it is right now? And what does that mean to you? It could be settling. For me, it was as simple as settling the debt. The second thing was I wanted to buy my dream car. That was when I was 24 years old. But today is very different. My big why is huge. It's totally different right now. But if you cannot understand how to start, where to start, ask yourself, what can you do today? What is it that you want a part of your life to be a better version or better life right now? For yourself or the people around you. That should be a starting point for a big why. How can I be better so that certain things can be better in my lives? You know, one of my mentors that I have coaching sessions with him every month, and he shared with me that his daughter is about close to 28, 29 years old, and he realized the best thing as a parent to help his daughter is to ask his daughter to move out of his house. Very rare. You don't see this in Asian family, right? So she shared with me, he said, I gave my daughter 6 months notice for her to move out of the house, get her own place, and set her life in place. That's the way to help her to be a better version of herself. Meaning, take responsibility bigger, have bigger commitments, do bigger things for yourself, right? So I thought about it. I told my wife, I think when my son is 15, 16 years old, maybe we should ask him to go and work and get his own place. My wife was saying, shut up. Don't do nonsense, don't talk nonsense. But again, as I think through that, right, I say that's good wisdom, right? Where you are helping people to achieve better freedom in their life so that they take commitments, they take certain actions that can help them to be responsible or hold better responsibility so that they can grow, they can progress, right? So the first thing is think about yourself. Number one, where you are, what's going to help you to be the better version of yourself? How can you change certain things in your life and the people around you? Number two, maybe you need to put your life into a bit bigger cause. Maybe you think bigger than among yourself. Who are the people that you want to impact? Who are the lives that you want to impact? What is the community that you want to impact? Or what are the things that you want to do that will make a difference in people's life right now? I think today in COVID-19 era, this pandemic season, there are many people struggling right now, huge struggles right now. You and I today can be that opportunity. We can bring that opportunity to others to do better. So maybe that is something that you can align yourself with your big why, right? If you don't know where to start, these are some of the areas that you can start, right? To think about how can you bring this big why closer and align it to your goal. My third thing for people, all of you here, is to look at your results in your first quarter right now. Ask yourself this first question, few questions. First question, are you satisfied and happy with your results? If you are, great. Why are you happy? If you are not, why are you not happy? Time to reflect and write things down. Are you satisfied with it? Because the results is an indication of are you in alignment. A lot of times we get too caught up on the results as the implication of how good and how great or how bad we are. And that's the biggest lie. Results are an indication of how aligned you are with your why and your action. That's it. If your why and action is not aligned, that result will show up. And then you need to take certain actions. If you really want this result, then you have got to take certain actions, right? Or change certain relationships, or be in a relationship with someone that can help you to get there, or realign your focus and your why again. Maybe this is not really what you want. I see agents struggling, picking up the phone, calling people. It's because they are not in alignment with their strength, right? Maybe their strength is calling warm calls. Maybe their strength is in calling people that they know. But whatever it is, do something that's in your strength, that's in alignment so that it resonates with your big why, and your results will show up. So results are just an indication. It is not an implication. It's an indication of your alignment of your goal, purpose, and your big why. That's it. You change the process, you change the system, and you hear what Hannaan says, as you change this process and system, the result shows up. If you have a plan, I always tell people, right, making money is not difficult. Making money is simple if you know the processes and the steps. Right, give you an example. This morning, I was struggling with my internet. My router keep on resetting and resetting. For the past few weeks, it has been doing that. I was very irritated. I called time saying, no, your internet connection all very good. And I did some research. I realized that if your router and your modem is sharing the same power point, this will happen because the flow of power is not consistent for both machines. So the router needs to have a separate power point. My modem needs to have a separate power point. When I change the steps, when I change that, I took the action to change that, my internet worked fine. And I'm back online right now. So it's all about having the right steps, the right model and system for you to make money, to make sales, right? You need to have the right model and systems. Once you have the right model and system, you just choose to execute, you will get income. But a lot of us don't focus on the process. We are focusing too much on the results. The results are not important. It is an indication only. But the process and steps where it's aligned together with you. I have a big why, and I told people, and I told my wife, I need to maybe move my office shortly to do my call, because I will not show and say and call you guys and say, I'm sorry, today's session is canceled because my internet connection is broken. It's not going to happen. If it's broken, I'm going to find a place where I can do my internet. So I am aligned with my big why. That's why my action shows up when that challenge comes. My action shows up. I think through, I show up because I'm in alignment. I'm not going to let hundreds of people down because of my internet connection. Does that give you an example? That makes sense? That's how you should be thinking through about your business right now. Reflect your first quarter numbers and results. Look at your GPS. How many percent of the things that you say you're going to do, you did? And then readjust and ask yourself this question. What is that one thing or two things that if I do this next quarter, it will dramatically change my results? And ask yourself again why you're doing this. Align that with your purpose, your vision, your goal. Align that, right? So these are the three key things that I ask all of you to do as you think through your second quarter. As second quarter is coming in, if you're not happy, ask yourself this question: why you're not happy? What are the steps that you can do to change your results right now? It's all about the action. It's all about the change. The system, the system and the models are things that you and I can change to make it work for us. It could be, I don't know how to use command campaigns properly. Well, sit down and think through what needs to change. Do I need to be in relationship with someone to help me get there? Or am I just going to say it's not working, it's not good enough? Just remember the internet experience I had this morning. The modem, just change the modem. My logical thing is the modem lousy, let's go and buy a more expensive modem. But that's not the key. The key is because I didn't figure out what's the process. I realized by changing the PowerPoints, things change. Maybe you need to go and adjust certain things in how you do your business. And maybe there's small one or two, three adjustments helps you in your business for second quarter. Okay. I will close with this last story that I personally just went through a few days ago, and I'll go into the announcement shortly. But this is a story that I think quite meaningful for me personally. 3 days ago or somewhere on Thursday, I was actually in the office having a meeting. I was meeting a few people online, and I was preparing for a FSO. FSO is what we call franchise system orientation, where people are interested to join us. They want to look at us opening a market center and all that. So I was preparing for that. So 3 or 4 hours were in the office in the preparation of that. At 10:45, 10:50, I got a call from my wife. My wife called me and she said, I think you better call your mom. You better go to your mom's house right now because I think she just spoke to me and I think she's having a stroke. So I actually told Lynn, who was there in the office, I said, you need to take over this whole thing. I'm not going to be here today. I need to rush home. I told her I need to rush home because I think my mom has a stroke. So I went back home. I rushed. I went into that day my car went for service. So I took a Grab, went back home, hoping to drive my father's car and see if my mom is not well, take her to the doctor. As I went home, I was utterly traumatized and shocked because my mom was in a fetus position, and she was shaking and shivering, and she was not responding to me. So she was like having a seizure, and I look at it, it looks like a stroke. And I thought, okay, the next thing is I was alone with my father. I told my father, go and bring the car to the front of the lobby. I'm going to carry my mom down. And now in that moment of trauma and also of shock and of things that I never expected, because I never experienced this before, right? I thought I could carry my mom down in my bare hands to the lobby, to the lift, and go 5 floors down and bring to the car. I lift up my mother. Wow, I realized I cannot carry it. Very difficult. And I realized that I couldn't do it. So I ran down to the lobby. I called the security guard. Please come up with me, and we took her down. Fast forward story. Broke her to the car, went zoom into the hospital in the emergency room in Desa Park City. And I checked her in. She was just in time because whenever someone has a stroke, right, or stroke-like episode, right, there is something called the golden hour. Within that 1 hour, if you are able to intercept or you're able to intervene, the chances of survival increases by tremendous percentage, right? So we were rushing to hit that golden hour, and at the nearest hospital was Desa Park City Medical Center. Took her into the ER. I went there. I checked her in. I can't remember when she got injured. I didn't bother, or I went in. Now, as the doctor was checking her, he's fine. I'm going to take her to a CT scan. There was no bleeding in the brain. Everything looked not so bad. We're going to stabilize her. And fast Fast forward, after 1-2 hours of the ordeal, she was stabilized in the emergency room, waiting for the neurologist to come. And as I was sitting in the waiting area, another family came in with something similar. And as the family came in with something similar, they went to the ER and the doctor was attending to him. Something different happened. That a group of those family, three of them, I think they were siblings, they were talking, and they were talking to the counter person, how much is this going to cost? And they were asking questions like, if she goes to ICU, what's the cost, what's the cost? They were working out the numbers. And I saw one lady writing down all these numbers down. And they were calling all their family members. This is the situation they are in. They may need this money. How are they going to find that money and all that? And the nurse was asking, do you have a challenge in admitting her to this hospital? One of the siblings said, no, don't worry. We will find a way to make it happen. Just take care of him. And as I was observing this, I was watching this from a side, and I saw that I didn't have that problem. Now, I know that if my mom went into hospital today, I don't see having a problem paying the bills. I don't see having an issue with that, right? Either myself or my siblings, we will find a way, we will have enough sufficient cash to settle that. By the way, the bill for 2 nights stay in that hospital was 10,000 ringgit. And it dawned on me that whatever I do right now, right, one of my biggest why is I must be able to have more to provide for the people around me. I don't want to be in a position where I cannot. When I saw that group of people scrambling right now, that was another round of trauma for those people who are already going through an emergency. Now they're thinking, how do they raise funds for that? And I realized one thing as I sat down there, I said, I never want to be in that position anymore. I never want to be in that position in my life where I don't have enough or I don't have more so that I can provide for others around me. I cannot take care of other people around me. So I just want to share that story here today when I saw that. How many of us today in this room, I'm not sure where we are in our situation, where we are in our journey, in our life, in our business. But I want us all to think through, why is it important to have more? Why is it important to live the best life in your life? Why is it important to be the better version of yourself on a daily basis? Because you can do so much more for yourself and the people around you. Think about that. And some of us, maybe we don't have that problem. But I'm very sure there are still more things that we can do for the people around us. Right. And as I thank God my mom came up, she's okay right now. She's back home. Got a fright of a minor pipe stroke that just passed her, right? But I sat down and I reflected. I said, I would never want to live a life in a position where I don't have enough and I don't have more so that I cannot help people. I want to have that. And I'm encouraging everyone in this room here today who are watching and listening this today, that you do what you do, part of it should be because you can have more to support the people around you. And when you have that, trust me, it's a very powerful why, a very powerful motivation to drive you to succeed in your life, to be a better version of yourself. Now, as I reflect back, as I was carrying my mother, I never realized, right? As I was carrying her down to the car, the first thing that reminded me was when I was 7 years old, I was very sick. I was a tonsillitis child. I had a lot of infections. I was very skinny one. I was not like this one. I was like very skinny one, very small, very stout. And I remember there was a season when my fever was so high, the teachers called my mom took a public bus driver, came to the school and carried me along back home, waiting for my father to come back. And I realized how many times my mom has carried me. And this is my first time in my entire life carrying her for the first time. And I'm glad that I have the ability, I can try my very best to give the best to her, the way I understand and the way I know how. I'm encouraging every one of you, one of these days, you are going to face situations like this. And it is something that you don't want to feel regret for the rest of your life, that you cannot do that. You cannot add value, you cannot create value, you cannot support, you cannot help. And I don't want any of us to go through that journey where you are in regret, right? So before that happen, and that will happen, right? Death will happen at a certain point in time. That's the most guaranteed thing that you can ever think of in this world. Everything else is not guaranteed, but death is guaranteed, or the process to get you to death is guaranteed. So my mom is 70 years old this year in May. Thank God she's now back home okay already. Now we are working on a plan how she doesn't have to do much, and as a family, we're trying to support the family a little bit more better. And I thought that this was a good story, not to share what I did and what is good and all that, but it's just to give you an example of how life will show up and how we didn't realize a lot of things, right? So business is the opportunity and the pathway to live a better life so that you can bring better life to people around you. If you don't have a big why, start with that. I hope this story helps you to realign your business again. I hope this helps you to think through about how you should live your life and align your life with your business so that it brings the best version of you. Okay, so thank you so much for listening to that story, and I hope this will help you to align your business again. Okay, let's have the announcements right now. Okay, let's have the announcements
coming up.
Right. She's well. We are trying to control her diet right now. She's not a very good patient, so we are trying to help her to understand that. Yeah, announcement please. Thank you. Please. Right, so we are running a national consumer campaign. Now, some of you may not realize this, but we are running this campaign, and if you're able to sign up and get the most engagements, you will then have an opportunity to earn a prize. Looks like this. You will get a prize every week, right? $50 a week, and the grand prize is $200 after the end of the campaign. So if you're interested, please sign up and the National Consumer Campaign download on Workplace right now. Get further knowledge or understanding. Next slide, please. Right, those who are having challenge setting up campaigns or command, please sign up for Lucas' session on the chat box so that you can set up your business. And please, guys, you have heard from people who have tried and failed and tried, and there are a lot of people having success. You hear a story today of how $30 helped him get 15 bookings, 74 leads in 10 days. If you're not doing some things, if you're not aligning your action steps to the results that you are getting, you are missing out on this right now. Please sign up for this and then get Lucas to help you. Next slide, please. Okay, so with that, I hope this has been a great session. I hope that it's able to help you align your big why with your results and your action plans for 2021 second quarter. I thought this was a good session for me to kind of express our journey in our personal journey as well, to kind of show you that we are all human beings. We are all pretty much going through similar things in a different intensity and a different perspective. But our life is pretty much similar. There is a pattern to it. If we just align ourselves and be very clear, audit, number one, remember to audit yourself, to ask yourself where you are right now. Number two, what makes you feel good? What sets you free? What brings the best out of you? Do those things. And number three, engage. If you are not engaging or not doing something about it, you are not going to find clarity. Clarity comes through doing things, through taking actions, through having engagement, right? Thinking about it without doing cannot give you the engagement. I hope today has helped you. So with that, thank you very much. I see you guys at the next training. I hope that this will be a great week for you. Looking forward to see you next time. Thank you very much, guys. See you all.
Got nothing in my brain. That's what people say. That's what people say. I go on too many dates, but I